We noticed a lot of viewers have been wondering where our Spanish subtitles are. We stopped doing them the way we used to do them because they cost money and it's very expensive. But YouTube auto generates subtitles in almost every language, including Spanish. If you will just follow the instructions in this video here, you can see how to do it. You can auto translate any video into Spanish just by going into your settings and choosing the auto translate function.
Hello everybody, I'm back in Mexico. I had to make an unexpected trip back to the United States and back to Arkansas to go and visit my mom and help her. She had a recent cancer diagnosis. I just want to say that, even though she is in stage 4, that the doctor said that she's responding well to the treatment. So that's a really good sign. We've been doing a lot of praying, and so we'll see how that goes. She's sick off and on. She has good days and bad days. I left after a month, which was a lot longer than I expected to stay. I was thinking about 2 to 3 weeks, but I'm going to kind of give you a rundown of what happened while I was there, and insert a few videos because it's such a stark contrast from here to there. I mean, I've always known that, but to go from one extreme to another was a little jarring for me, even though I lived in Arkansas my whole life, and I know how the weather is. It can be, sunny and hot one second and then freezing the next second, snow on the ground one day and a tornado the next day. Arkansas weather is pretty crazy. So it's kind of what I experienced there. Thankfully, no tornadoes, but yeah. So I got there, of course it was end of December, and I got to spend Christmas with my mom, with the rest of my family. I haven't been able to do that in a couple of years, ever since we moved here in 2021. And so that was really great. I got to see a lot of family members that I haven't seen in a long time. Even before I moved to Mexico, I hadn't seen them in a while. I got lots of pictures and did the family thing, so I'm really happy about that. But most importantly, I'm glad that I could be there for my mom for this Christmas. And while I was there, it snowed. And the funny thing is, before I left, I remember I was talking to my husband about how I miss the snow. Just, I've never really liked snow except when I was a kid, but as an adult, snow just kind of halts your life, or halts my life, because if there's just a little bit on the streets, I don't get out in it. I'm too afraid to drive, and it's, you shouldn't drive when the roads are, especially iced, but you never know what's underneath that snow. So I just take all the precautions and don't go anywhere when it snows. So I've never been a big snow person, but I said that, it's been so long since I've been in Arkansas and experienced different weather patterns, because like I said in the beginning of this video, Arkansas has everything when it comes to weather, all the different stuff, and not just in the different seasons. You can get it in any season almost. But I had mentioned to him about, how I miss the snow and the cold. I like being able to wear my coat, and my gray coat, my favorite gray coat, and bundle up and go walk in Burns Park. And you know what? Be careful what you wish for, because I did that. I went there and I experienced that. Before we even got out of Mexico, I realized I needed a coat. We were driving just past Mexico City. It was nighttime, so I didn't really see what was going on, but I knew we were going up this really high mountainous area, and the temperature just plummeted. It was so cold, and I was like, wow, this is Mexico? Of course I knew that not every state, every spot in Mexico is hot all the time. But I just had gotten so used to year-round summer temperatures, and I'm talking blistering heat. As you all have been paying attention to my videos or listening to my podcast, you know I've complained about the heat a lot, you know, but that's how it is here in the area where we live. It's pretty much year-round heat. We get pockets of cool weather, but never anything that I would call cold. So even before we left Mexico, it had already started to get really cold the farther north that we drove. And we went the long way around, but it ended up taking us about over 30 hours from here to finally make it to the border. And we arrived safely. We had one flat tire on the way. I think it was in the state of Tabasco. It was nighttime. It was cold, and my husband had to get out on the dangerous freeway or the highway and change the tire. So that was a little scary, but we made it. And so everything was fine. And when we got to the border, we parted ways. I kept the car and was, drove it into Texas and everything, but my husband took a bus or a series of buses to get back home here to where we live. And so that was really tough for him because it was a 2-day trip by bus, and he barely slept. And we didn't sleep at all the over 30 hours drive from here to the border. So by the time all was said and done, we were so exhausted. And me in particular, because I don't know everything about how he felt because he was here and I was there, but I felt like the whole time I was in Arkansas, I just couldn't recuperate from the exhaustion. Even though I slept, I was sleeping at my aunt's. I slept at my aunt's for about 3 weeks total, but 2 weeks, and then I went to stay at one of my brother's places, and I stayed at his house for 4 days, and then I went to stay at my other brother's house, and I stayed at his house for 3 days, so that was a week. So it was about 4 weeks total, and it was rough. Long story short, it was rough. On top of that, I was supposed to leave within 2 to 3 weeks, and we got some bad weather in Arkansas, snow, the roads were icy, I couldn't go anywhere. While I was there also, it was so cold. I think the coldest it got was 1 degree Fahrenheit, that it killed the battery in our car, and there was no saving it. It was dead, had to get a new battery, so that was a bummer. And also our tires, I had a flat tire when I left there. Something really kind of amazing happened on the way. The whole time before we left to the time I was there, and by the time that I was going to leave to go back to the border, I was just praying all the time, please just help us to get to our destinations safely. And God answered my prayers. I was in Texas, close to Temple, Texas, and all of a sudden the light came on in the dashboard, said low tire pressure, and as soon as the light came on, I thought, oh no, I already knew that it was a flat tire, even though I didn't hear the sound of the flat tire yet or feel it in the car. I knew it was flat. It was going to be any second. As soon as the light came on, there was an exit. And I took it immediately. I didn't look to see what was around, if there were gas stations or anything like that. I just knew that the next exit would be very far away from this one. And if I didn't take the exit, that I would be stuck on the side of the freeway in Texas. So I took the exit, and as soon as I went off the exit ramp, there was a driveway. I didn't look to see where I was pulling in. I just saw it was a business. I didn't really notice the business that it was. I just know I needed to get somewhere safe and get off the side of the road. So I pulled into that driveway. There's the exit, and then immediately off the exit, there's a road, a driveway. I pulled into this big driveway, and it was a tire shop. Amazing. To me, it was a tire shop. Now, granted, it wasn't, they didn't do tires for cars. It was just for bigger trucks, but it was a big business, and they agreed. I already had the spare tire in the back seat of the car, so I didn't need a tire. I just needed someone to change the tire for me, put the new one on the rim. And so they agreed to do that for me. They even plugged up, found out that the used tire that I had bought in Little Rock, I didn't see it because it was kind of camouflaged in there, but it had already had a hole in it, and they had plugged it with that stuff, that tar, sticky stuff. And so they noticed that the guys changing the tire, they were from Mexico, strangely enough, and they saw the tags on the car that said from our state. And they asked me, if I'm from there, and I said, no, my husband is, but we live there, and I'm on my way back. So, they were really nice, and they changed the tire for free for me. They took out the plug and patched it with a more sturdy materials to make sure that it would last us a good while. And it was it was great. They aired up all the other tires, checked everything. A little worried about one of the other tires, but there was nothing I could do because there wasn't another tire shop in that particular spot where I could go and just find another tire that easily. But it got me on my way. And another miraculous thing to me happened. Farther in, I can't remember the city. I think it was Royce City, Royse, Royce City, Texas. The sun was facing me the whole time, and it was like it was a big ball of fire directly in my line of vision as I was driving down the freeway. And I had got stuck in a long line of traffic. And I was trying to get to a hotel because I cannot drive at night. I can't see to drive at night. And I was getting really nervous because I was trying to beat the clock. I was like a reverse vampire. I was trying to beat the darkness. And I needed to get to a hotel, and I thought I had enough time. But then when I got stuck in this traffic on the freeway, it was almost complete standstill for like 40 minutes. It just sucked all my time away, and I was so nervous. I was not going to make it in time, and I would not be able to see. And on top of that, the sun was setting in front of my face, and I couldn't see anyway. And I started praying to God, please just help me find a hotel, get me off this freeway so I can, be in a safe place, and help me find a hotel. And as soon as I said that out loud, I prayed in the car. As soon as I said that, there was an exit up ahead. I inched my way toward the exit because I couldn't see. I pulled off the exit into a gas station area of some sort, and I opened my phone and looked for the nearest hotel. And it was a minute down the street just under the bridge. And it was the only hotel for 15 minutes or 15 miles in every direction. I wouldn't have made it to another hotel. I would have been sitting there in the parking lot, sleeping in the car that night. And it was super cold. Remember that. So once again on this trip, God answered my prayer, got me. I prayed immediately. There was an exit, and there was a hotel right down the street. And so praise God. I feel so blessed. I just know He's always watching over me. He's always helping me, keeping me safe. And He did the same for my husband all the way, because as I was driving back toward Laredo to meet my husband at the border so we could meet again and then go back home to Mexico, he was again on his way by bus to meet me and all of that good stuff. Now, I finally did make it safely to Laredo. I got a hotel and everything. I spent the night, and the next morning his bus was going to arrive in Nuevo Laredo, right there on the border, at between 7 and 8 that next morning. And so I was up really early. I didn't even hardly sleep that night, and just so anxious and excited to be back home as well. And I knew that the more stressful stuff was ahead, because we had agreed that after this long trip, going the long way to the border, when we left Mexico, that on the way back, we were not going to go the same way. So that meant we would have to take the shorter way, which was only 4 hours, but still 4 hours is 4 hours. And we would have to drive through the state that I did not want to drive through because of dangerous crime that goes on there. Now, if you are from the state of Tamaulipas, I don't know if I'm saying that right again, I apologize. You know, I know that this stuff, and I want to make sure that my viewers, my listeners understand that these things do not happen through the entire state. Generally, from what I understand, it is concentrated more toward the north, near the border towns. So we left and headed toward Monterrey. Now there is a freeway between Nuevo Laredo and Monterrey. I think it's about an hour and a half drive, maybe 2 hours long. I can't remember, but I've seen a lot of news stories, heard a lot of people talk that it's a very dangerous place to drive. Well, we drove through there, I'm happy to say, with no problems from anyone. We didn't get pulled over by roadblocks, or we didn't even have run-ins with military or police or anything like that. So that drive went very well. We had no problems whatsoever. On top of that, we even took the free road instead of the toll road. A lot of reports will tell you to make sure you always take the toll roads because it makes you stay on the main roads. And I still recommend that. Just because we did it, we took the free road, doesn't mean that I recommend that you do that. Follow the advice of the majority and always take the toll roads. But we took the free road and nothing happened. So we did get to one part way after that freeway, way after Monterrey. We were, it was before Tampico that we were stopped by military or police. I think it was the police, National Guard or police. I can't even remember at this point. Where they checked our car and everything, which is a common thing throughout Mexico. And they were very nice and everything. And they just, they warned us because it was getting dark. And we were almost to Tampico, and they said, this was the National Guard or the police, I can't remember, telling us this: do not drive at night here. So they were warning us, and we were like, okay, well, we know we're just going to go to Tampico and, get a hotel. So it was dark and rainy by the time we finally did make it to Tampico, and we spent the night in a hotel. Had a bad experience in the hotel. Toilet didn't work. The remote didn't work on the TV. It was super cold in there. Bad experience. I'm not going to call out the hotel or anything like that, but it just wasn't ideal. And so the next day we got up early in the morning and we drove straight from Tampico. We got all the way past Tabasco. Now keep in mind too that the road, like a lot of the roads throughout Mexico, are really, really bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat this just because somebody from Mexico might hear me and get mad at me and say, oh, no, it's not true, because I'm sorry. Our experience has been, we have been on terrible roads most of everywhere we've traveled. This does not include the state of Veracruz. They have beautiful roads for the most part, and also a lot of the area that we drove through, Tabasco, was also very, very good. The roads were, but there are long stretches of road, even toll roads that we are paying for, that are just like these massive potholes. And you're gonna see some videos that I'm gonna insert of these roads that I am talking about. And we ended up having another flat. We were only 2 hours away from the city that we go to shop every week, or every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. And it's only like 30 minutes from our community. We were only 2 hours away, and we got a flat in the dark, rain, again on the side of the road. Now, this is our fourth flat. I don't know if I detailed all the other ones. We did stop in Monterey and got another tire for the other one that was going flat after we left Nuevo Laredo. So in all, every tire on the car we ended up having to replace all the way around. And we were on the side of the freeway. It was so dangerous. It was a very small road, and this is a road that it took us 4 hours to drive on when it should have only been 2 hours. So it took us 2 extra hours because my husband changed the tire and put on the donut. So we were driving on the donut. It was our last hope, and we had to be super, super careful. Even though we were super careful when we got the flat. He was driving like 35, 40 miles per hour, hit a deep hole, and a flat tire. So the whole experience was just very stressful and chaotic and exhausting, and I never want to do it again. Flying is just so terrifying to me. Even with faith in God, I mean, there's some things that we just, as we're human, and that's the thing for me is flying is so terrifying. I can pray about it. I can just try to put my mind in that frame where I know God is with me and I'll be protected, and if it is His will that I be protected. But I just still, the experience in itself is just so terrifying, and I just don't like to do it. And that's why we had chose to drive to the border rather than going the plane this time. But after this experience with driving, and it ended up costing us even more money, way more money than if I were to just get on the plane and go to Houston and then take a train from Houston. Long story. I know this is a pretty long video, but I just kind of wanted to, give you a rundown of everything that happened and all the stuff that we went through, minus a few details that I don't really want to get into here. But I learned a lesson again. We both did. That we were away from each other for a month. It was very difficult, and he just was like, "I depend on you," and I'm like, and I depend on you because I never want to drive again. I never want to do these things again. I mean, I want to drive, but it was just very difficult driving by myself, dealing with tires and dealing with batteries and snow and ice and long distances. And the main thing is not being able to see at night, not being able to see when the sun is blazing in my face. And we learned that, I mean, we knew this already, but you have a new respect for it when it's taken from you, that we depend on each other. He depends on me so much, and I depend on him so much, and that's why we are together, and we depend on each other, and we do things for each other. And it's just not good for a married couple to be apart for too long a period of time. At least us. I can't speak for all married couples, but for us, it's not ideal. And we also realized in our time apart, and in the time that he was here in Mexico, still working on things outside and dealing with his boxing stuff, and we just came to the conclusion that despite how the inconveniences and how difficult it sometimes is here with the electricity situation and all of that, that this is our home and we're not moving. We got a taste of how the North is, and we just realized we don't want that. We're happy here where we are, and we appreciate all that we have. We don't have a lot, but we have a home established here, and we need to stop running away from our problems. Running away never solves anything, and that's what we learned from our time apart. So we intend now to stay here in this community that we live in, and go back to the plans that we had before, finish building our bigger studio down several blocks from where we are currently living, and just work on everything a little at a time and just build our life here. And we have a lot of plans. We have a lot of things that we look forward to doing. And of course, I miss my mom. I miss my kids and the rest of my family in Arkansas. And you know, but I'm home here. And yeah. So see you next time. May God bless you, your family, and your life.